Welcome to all of you. Here we are ready with the solution of 2014 ICSE paper. As you know, we are doing this as a part of series where we are discussing with explanation how to solve the grammar portion of ICSE paper, and it's a very scoring part of the paper because the essay, the letter, the email, notice, and comprehension. So, gradually, the scoring part of the paper starts increasing from email, notice, comprehension, and the most scoring part, the high scoring part is language paper, is a solved, you know, very easy to solve would be your grammar part. So let's get started. It is the first question in the grammar section. We have the tense. So, and there will be a cue which you have to understand how the sentence is going to go ahead, whether it is in past tense, whether it is going to be present, future, or mix of all the tenses, what it is. So, as we can see in the example, from his perch behind clock, Hugo could see everything. So, here is an indication it's in past tense because Hugo could see everything. He rubbed, that is also indication the passage is in past tense. He rubbed his fingers nervously against the small notebook in his pocket and told himself to be patient. The old man in the toy booth was arguing with the girl. She was Beaver. She was about Hugo's age, and he often saw her go into the booth and disappear behind the counter. The old man looked, you can write, or you can also write, was looking agitated today. Had he figured out some of his toys were missing? Well, there was nothing to be done about that now. The old man and the girl argued some more, and finally she closed her book and ran off. Okay, very mysterious kind of act which is going on in this passage. Let's come to the next part, that is a phrasal verb or preposition. The first one, the teacher spoke up. Spoke up is a very common phrasal verb or the phrase that we use. Spoke up. You have to speak up for yourself. That's how we say. The teacher spoke up for Raju when he was wrongly accused of stealing money. You can also write the teacher spoke out for Raju when he was wrongly accused of stealing money. We can visit her in the hostel between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Saturday. Now there might be a tendency to make this mistake that writing from. It is, if there is a from, then there should be two also. But here it is written only one blank, and it is between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Between that time, you have to, we can visit her hostel. So it will be between, not from. From would be wrong. The third, the Sinhas have lived in Delhi, New Delhi, since 1943. Some might make a mistake that here you are writing from 1943. No. For the native speakers, okay, they use since for the year. Okay, since 2001, since 2007. So since the time 1943, they have been living in this place. Little children are often afraid of the dark. So afraid of is also very common, but some might think of afraid in dark. No, you are always this. Actually, these are the examples of the words followed by preposition. So if you thoroughly go through a Ray and Martin book of grammar, you will get to see that there is a chapter based on words followed by prepositions. So there you can find this example. So afraid of the dark. Sneha has applied for a scholarship. So you are applying for what? You are applying for a scholarship. It took Ahmed many months to get over the loss of his friend. So this kind of sentence keep on coming in ICSE board. Get over a shock or get over the loss. Coming out of it. So get over the loss of his friend. She turned down, very common phrasal verb. She turned down the generous offer made by the manager. Turn down means refusal. You are refusing to accept. We were asked to take off our footwear as we were entering a place of worship. So you can also write take off. Take off is basically removing. Some might make a mistake of take out. Okay, no. Take out means you can say take out your book. Okay, so take out your book or take it out means, or you take out all your anger. Okay, so that is something which is there inside and you're taking out. So you cannot say here you are removing. You are removing the footwear from your foot. So remove your footwear basically. So take off. Take off your socks, take off your footwear. Okay, that's what it means. Let's say the synthesis of sentence, or what we say joining the sentence or combining the sentence. The first one, he is good at gymnastics. His writing must improve. So here we can to see that what relation it is. He is good in one thing, but his another thing, that is handwriting skill, must be improved. So there is a contrast sort of thing. So although he is good at gymnastics, his writing must improve. That can be one. Instead of although, you can write though he is good at gymnastics, his handwriting must improve. Or you can write, in spite of being good at gymnastics, his handwriting must improve. So wherever there is a contrast, so although, though, even though, we can use. In spite of, despite also we can use. Next sentence, her grandfather gifted her a paint box. He knew she was good at it. So here is a cause effect. So why she was gifted a paint box? Because she was good at art. So here is a cause effect we have to see. So her grandfather gifted her a paint box because he knew she was good at art. Her grandfather gifted her a paint box as he knew she was good at art, or since he knew she was good at art. That is the easier one. You can also opt for this option, participle, knowing that she was good at art, comma, her grandfather gifted her a paint box. But I think because, as since are the easier options to follow. Third, Ravi fractured his arm. He insisted on playing the match. Again, there is contrast. Okay, so he has fractured his arm. So a normal way of thinking would be, if you have fractured hand, you will take rest. You will not play the match. So there is a contrast. So let's see, there are possibilities. Like, although Ravi had fractured his arm, he insisted on playing the match. Even though, you can write, or though Ravi had fractured his arm, he insisted on playing the match. You can also write despite having fractured, because despite always followed by participle. So we cannot write despite of, that is wrong. We always have to follow despite and then the participle. Despite having fractured his arm, Ravi insisted on playing the match. You can also write like this, despite fracturing his arm, Ravi insisted on playing the match. But when we are writing in spite, is always followed by of, and then you follow with the participle. In spite of having fractured his arm, it should be his arm, Ravi insisted on playing the match. Or in spite of fracturing his arm, Ravi insisted on playing the match. So there are many possibilities in this last third sentence. Okay, so let's see the fourth one. Of Mona has been ill for a month. She stood first in the examination. Again, there is a contrast. If you have been ill for a month, definitely nobody is expecting you to come first in the exam. So there is a contrast. So although Mona had been ill, now you have to remember that in the first original sentence there are two sentences. Okay, and there is full stop. So there are two separate sentences. So one can be in present, the other can be in past. But when you are writing within one sentence, it should follow the same tense. So that's why we are changing. Although Mona had been ill for a month, she stood first in the examination. You can use even though. You can also go for despite and in spite. So despite being ill for a month, Mona stood first in the exam. Or despite having been ill, you cannot write having been, that's wrong. So having participle you are using. So the after participle, that is the perfect participle that you're using, right? Been. So having been ill for a month, Mona stood first in the examination. And also write in spite of being ill. So being is the participle of be verb. Okay, or in spite of having been ill. Both are correct. So there are many possibilities for this. Let's go to the last section of grammar. that is the transformation of sentences. Here lot many varieties you find. So first one we have, as soon as we lit the candle, the power supply was restored. No sooner, very common, keep on coming in ICSE exam. No sooner did, we can write, no sooner did we light, because the past tense of light would be lit. So here we have to expand that from lit into did light. So no sooner did we light the candle than. Now there is a tendency of making a mistake, making it then, THEN, which is wrong. It has to be than, THAN. No sooner did we light the candle than the power supply was restored. You can also write like this: no sooner had we lit the candle than the power supply was restored. So had can also be used, but you have to pay attention that had, if you are writing, we have to write lit. We cannot write light, because in past perfect, how we say, had slept, okay, had done, had completed. So it is had lit. Next one, the bee is more industrious than all other creatures. You have to use most industrious. Now this is an example of pattern follow degree of comparison. So you have to write, the bee is the most industrious of all creatures. Okay, all other we cannot write than all other. Than is used, that's why than all other. So you have to write of all other creatures. Third, the old woman was too slow to catch the bus. You have to begin, the old woman was so. So again, typical example in ICSE. So that, and two, the old woman was so slow that she could not catch the bus. Why could not? Because the sentence was in past tense. The old woman was so slow. That's why it has to be, she could not catch the bus. If it would have been in present, that old woman is so slow that she cannot. Okay, that tense you have to see. I will do it tomorrow, he promised. You have to, it's very direct question they have given, that rewrite in indirect speech. Okay, so indirect speech, so he promised that he would do it the next day or the following day. So that can be done, because tomorrow in indirect speech it becomes the next day or following day. He promised that he would do it. You can also use infinitive in this. He promised to do it the next day or the following day. That is also fine. Fifth, though Rima got an expensive gift, she was not happy. In spite, contrast sort of sentence. So, in spite of getting an expensive gift, Rima was not happy. You can write unhappy also. Or you can write in spite of having got. It is, we are using participle, perfect participle. In spite of having got an expensive gift, Rima was not happy or unhappy. Sixth, I prefer reading a book to watching a movie. Again, typical example, it would be rather, they will start with I would rather. So I would rather read a book than watch a movie. So you have to remember this, that for prefer followed by participle. Okay, the ing verb they use. So I prefer reading a book. But if you're using rather, you cannot use ing, you have to use the base verb. That is, I would rather read a book than watch a movie. 7. I have never seen Mr. Roy lose his temper. You have to start with never. So here it is an example of affirmative to negative. So never is followed by the auxiliary verb, that is have. Never never did. Okay, like this. So never have I seen Mr. Roy lose his temper. Or you can write, never have I seen Mr. Roy losing his temper. Both are correct. Eighth one, that is the last one. She found your keys in the garage. So she found your keys in the garage. So begin the keys. Okay. So here it's an example of active passive. The keys, she found your keys. So you have to, in the changed sentence, you have to show the keys to whom it belongs. So the keys that belong to you, it is in past tense, so were found in the garage by her. Okay, so that is one way. Or the keys belonging to you were found in the garage by her. So that's it for 2014 paper. We have seen that it was pretty easy, except just here and there little bit, okay, but otherwise the paper was quite easy like this. Lot many solved examples. I mean, the answer key we are going to upload. The upcoming years would be 2013, 12, okay, 11, 10 onwards. So keep watching and subscribe to our channel.